Hey, today is September 30th, 2025, and currently with us is JLDC, and this is going to be in reference to Cottage 5. Who would like to start us off, please?
Well, yes, I will.
We're missing Pam.
I know, I was just thinking.
Oh.
I should have-
We're a little early, aren't we?
A few minutes early,
Couple minutes.
but.
We can wait a few minutes.
I'm sure that was okay.
She's usually right on time.
Oh, okay.
It is a continuation of this date of September 30th, and again, we're present with JLDC. And with that being said, if JLDC gave a continuation of continuing on what you were saying, please.
Okay, two of the things Corey tasked me with was, we wanted to have this meeting, I was like, would you like anything in particular? And he was curious about, kind of just timeline and what are the funding options? And if we would need a match still to proceed with applying for grants. It's kind of like those three things. Timeline is for the EPA cleanup grant, which would pertain to the top two levels. That grant deadline will probably sometime in November is when it closed last year. And then you find out if you got the grant or not in May. They're all pretty good about the turnaround time and making sure they're on schedule so they don't get behind in their program of work. So that's kind of that one. The basement, which is where all the problems is, and the asbestos, we still have confirmed earmark funding of 200,000 from Montana DEQ. However, he said they're a little bit worried about a government shutdown, so they don't quite want to announce the bid to bid it out just yet. They will know more after the first, if they can put that open for people to apply for. But yes, they do have 200,000 still earmarked to start with the asbestos cleanup in the basement of Cottage 5. So I wish I knew more. He didn't know more.
Was that?
This was George Williams. He's with the state Brownsfield Fund. So it's weird because it's like state funding, but they get it also from the federal government. So it's supplemental brownfield state funding, they call it. But they still have it earmarked for Cottage 5 right now.
Was that 200,000 enough to get the basement?
It should be pretty close based on the estimates we got last year to do the basement completely.
Do the moonscape or whatever they're doing?
Yes, to do the fundraising
Okay.
and to do the cleanup. And so then this grant would cover everything above, even the windows. Cleaning out all of that stuff. I added that to this application. Changing a little bit of things for QEPs and professionals to come in and help with a little bit more of the monitoring and some other stuff. So it'll be around $1 million that we're gonna ask for, between 800,000 and $1 million. The state has agreed to help. Look at my work plan. You'll notice in there's a giant spreadsheet with a bunch of dollars on it. They're gonna go through those with me and make sure I'm asking for enough money. Because I was like, I don't have enough experience in hazardous materials cleanup to know if I'm asking for the right amount. But if we're only gonna ask once and have one shot at this, I would really like to know that these numbers are accurate, especially with the QEP cost. Because every time I turn around, it seems like those estimates are going up. That's kind of where I'm at with that. And then other timelines that we have coming up, the Montana Historic Preservation Grant, which we have kind of an application put together already. That will be rolling out again. There's a webinar next Wednesday on what the new requirements will be. Now, as you remember, the legislature was not very happy with our match contribution. However, they never gave us a chance to respond that we would have more match and then they got quite a bit of pushback then also from people applying for the projects that they didn't fully fund anyone's. I was like, well, what good is this? If you're not going to fully fund anyone, help people wrap up their projects, they're all going to reapply next time. So they did get some pushback from people that got kicked out, that weren't given an opportunity to say they had a larger match. And to also just, you're not helping any of these projects if you're not fully funding them, if they really need the funding. So we'll see what they come up with. They are going to get ready to release those guidelines here next month. that deadline would probably be in February, and then we'd have to go through the whole process again. But I figure we might as well put in for it. We've already done all the work to put together that giant application on all of those things. So that's where that kind of timeline and matches. Let's see. And then, of course, in that application, we still have, the main thing is just getting the cleanup done. It's really hard to apply for any other grants if you can't show that first steps done. So Pam and I talked, we were like, well, you know, the most I think that this project would need time to figure out if it's gonna work or not is until May, when they either don't accept our application or we're not chosen as a project. Because that would mean then county would have to fund the cleanup. So the building itself needs to be cleaned up, even if you say the prison comes along, they would have to clean up the building if they're going to use it, so they would have to pay for the mitigation as well and do all these steps. So it's kind of cumbersome process for whoever.
So my question is, we got this money sitting there and we're trying to figure out if that's something you can keep going with your process without this money. That we shift this project over for the health department onto either a different building or a new building or whatever we can find to get them into something while we're working on this, because we got this money sitting here and the taxpayers don't like to see us sitting on money, and the feds, who knows when they're gonna say, did you spend this?
Yeah,
You didn't spend it, give it back. You know, so we're kind of sticking our necks out with having this money sitting here, just waiting. So what we really need to know is, can you do without that money? Can we swivel on a project? Even if we progress with this project and it comes to fruition in 5-10 years, then we can swivel back wherever we're at now and do a health service place there in the future. I'm trying to think short term.
Yeah.
What money we have, can we get into something and still work on this, and maybe in the future be able to move into that and either sell or use that other building for something else that we set up for Pam, so she has some more space.
yeah,
Cause I'm really concerned. I mean, Pam and I have been talking since I've been a commissioner to get her
Yeah.
something into something bigger. And we're just kind of kicking the can down the road, you know, month after month, year after year, and it's just. Pam's gonna be retired, I'm gonna be retired, we're still gonna be sitting here with $1 million and scratching our heads what we're gonna do with it, so. So I'd really like to,
is there, I mean, is it possible to wait till May?
I think so, that's what the conversation is about.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, we're not
I
ready.
would, say May would be a pretty good indicator if it's going to work or not.
So, I
And
mean, if
if not,
everything falls into line, you get all the brownfields, it gets all cleaned up, and then the state one comes through, does that give us an amount to probably make this feasible? To be able to move forward with the project, or are we still short of million?
No, I think it would be really
Really close,
so much, because, you know, if the state does all the hard things, or say the windows and the things like that. What this money would be used for primarily is the HVAC, the electrical, things that are mostly renovation. But I would say we would really know by May or not if this is gonna work, or if you just go ahead with plan B. And I think the state should still clean up the basement and start
Okay.
working on the other stuff, because they left us with this.
That's what that before, even if we take it down, we gotta clean up asbestos and the lead, I don't know about the
Exactly.
lead, but the asbestos for sure has to come out of it
It
before we
does.
knock
Yeah.
it down, so. Not that we wanna knock it down, but, so,
No, and even if it's to be knocked down, it'd still have to be mitigated. It actually would be probably more expensive than what we're doing now, because they would have to take out the whole concrete floor. Right now, we're leaving it in place and just covering it up. Otherwise they'd have to haul that out separately, and I don't know how that's why they did not choose it as an option, because that's a very large thing to try to figure out.
yeah. So if when May comes along, I guess what's our options there? If we get the grant, is that money we're holding on part of the match to get this work done?
Yes, although that also, we will know more when they release the guidelines. Last year, part of the infrastructure bill was that you didn't have to come up with the match. They haven't officially said if they're going to require a match yet or not.
Okay.
So I hate to say, yes, just go use it all, we won't need the match, because I don't know that for sure.
Sure.
But we should know
And
by
same with
May.
the MHPG, I don't know, maybe they're gonna require everyone to have a higher match than last time, because that seemed to be a really big sticking point.
Right.
So that makes me a little nervous too, to not keep any match.
Yeah.
At all. I wish I knew more, that's the hard part.
Another question, can you put down matches as, not really put down as match, but can we borrow money for match? I mean, is that able to be put into application, or is it gotta be cash on hand? You know,
I don't know, the MHPG grant was cash on hand match.
okay,
Because we had to provide financial audits and things like that to say that it was sitting there.
okay.
The federal one, I don't know, I would have to look into that. Not positive on that.
So I guess when you figure out if we need to have this match money sitting around for this grant, then we can circle back and make a decision if we need the match money. And then I guess we'll wait till we get the grant or not. If you figure out that we don't need the match money to still get the grant, then that would be nice to know too, so we can start swiveling
Yeah,
if that's what we want to do for the health department. Start looking at other options.
I know matches certainly look better to have than
Oh,
not,
absolutely,
because
yeah.
all of these applications want to know that you have funding to make sure you're a viable project. So it's like on almost every single application, like, what do you have? You have to put everything down there. So it's certainly better to have a match than not.
Sure.
I don't know if it's I guess I will.
If it's required, yeah.
I'll look
We can-
into
I'm
the
sure
federal match
May's gonna be
requirement.
here before we know it, so I don't think we're gonna do anything until after May, so
Nice.
we'll still have the money by May.
Okay.
Well, there's been a big investment in this, so I think waiting till May is a reasonable
Oh, absolutely, I
You know.
agree.
path to pursue.
I was also wanting to, I've kind of been exploring a little bit, doing an ESA on Griffin Hall. Just maybe under the potential to tear it down, those sort of things. We should know what the hazardous materials are, so we could get maybe an estimate on what it would cost to tear down.
I got somebody who wants to buy it.
Or buy it. And then as far as like transferring, if you have that and you say, here's the hazardous materials, here's what we know are harmful. And you freely disclose that to whoever buys it or whatever, then that covers you safety wise and liability wise.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tough now to say, oh, we know there's hazardous materials there, but we just didn't really look into it.
Right.
But we know because this building right next door was built with the exact same materials.
Right.
It looks a little strange. So I was thinking about just really initiating that process. And getting that kind of going. Pat and I are working on trying to get the basement part like cleaned out of the junk so that they can do an analysis and take samples. So I think that's just a good idea in general.
Yeah, I think any of that federal money that is good for mitigation, asbestos and lead, we should be jumping on it, no matter what we do with the building.
Yes,
Cause it's gonna have to be done
yes.
regardless of what we do with the building.
Even if we sell it, so.
Yeah.
Sell it or.
Is the
Yeah.
buyer the one out of field?
So, and he can, I called today and I asked him, we can go about it two ways. He can request it or we can request it. And I asked him if he wanted to request it and he seemed, well, that's like too much paperwork for me. I was like, well, luckily for you, that's my whole job, is just doing awkward government paperwork, it seems like. So, I said I would look into it and just, kind of get that ball rolling. It seemed like with Cottage 5, 2018 is when the phase 1 ESA was wrapped up. It took about a year and a half, depends on. They're not overly thorough, which would normally triggers the phase 2. But it would be enough to, I think, cover the liability of aspect if you were to turn over the building or do something else. Enough to be like, yes, we know that the systems, so here are these samples.
True.
Would it be enough to then keep going to really thoroughly someone else renovate it? No, so someone else would have to take over that phase 2.
Perfect. Good.
And then
Questions?
this has been an interesting document. I didn't have it when I applied for the first round.
What is it?
The South Boulder acquisition talked about, I didn't know the county had bought it for $13,000. That was new to me.
I thought it was given to us, yeah.
Yeah,
Me too.
so this was found, and this has helped me a lot with this application that I think will clear things up and make our threshold criteria for eligibility a lot clearer. Which was great, because I didn't have this the first time. I didn't even know it existed. So it's been interesting to read, yeah. The reason that it was purchased is so that you could do economic development with it. As opposed to like the fairgrounds is just transferred over. it would have hindered what you could do with the property. You couldn't have gotten rid of other buildings, like, you know. In the end, like YBGR took that building, the other one was torn down for Family Dollar. So all those things happened because you guys originally purchased it. Before, if it would have just been gifted over, you couldn't have done any of those things. You would have been like stuck with them and tried to turn it into one of these. And it was, I didn't even know that, but I went and got from the land board minutes, talked a lot about the sale, which was interesting, and I got some information from these as well. So that has helped. But the mysterious things I didn't know before that I think will clean up the application and make it look a little bit better for this round.
You have a place in your filing to put some of that information in there?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if I could look at it when.
Oh, yeah.
done with
It's-
it.
And this is a document that's somewhere. Ladana found this in her office for me, or found this in her office.
Really?
And then these, I had to contact the land board of land commissioners so that I could get these from them. And so we could make copies and scan them in with the file. So, but they're interesting. I had no idea about any of that stuff, and you guys probably didn't either because you weren't around when that was going on. But yeah.
I have a question going back to the grants,
Mhm.
just to make sure I understand it. So there's more than one grant involved, correct?
Yes,
To get to where you're thinking it will be semi-completed.
yes,
And if those grants either require a match or we tell them that we have a match and we only get one of them, and then do we have to accept it? Or if we don't get both of them, but we have to put up a match for both of them, we only take one, we're not finishing anything. We're only halfway there, except we spent the money on a match grant to do something that would be,
not get you to where.
that
you
we
want to
would
be.
have done, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't have gotten us to where we need to go.
I think if you don't get this first big grant, the EPA $1 million cleanup grant, then those other grants aren't gonna.
Okay, I just wanted to,
Yeah, but so the weird timelines, we might as well put in for the other one, we won't know. The deadline is in February for the MHPG grant. We won't find out till May, but the good
I'm not
news is
saying don't
that
put
it's
in-
already all put together for the most part, the application and we learned a lot actually going to legislature and finding out what their needs are. So it won't be that hard to quick rework that, so we might as well.
You can reject grants.
Yeah,
yeah, and that, I knew that. I just don't want to get one and then we
no, I
have
agree.
a building that's in
Half
good
done.
shape, but it's not usable and we can't do anything with it except tell
And we
people that.
even learned some people accepted the grant and then 2 years later went back and rejected it. So it's like, they do allow you a pretty big window to reject it even if you accepted it. So that was interesting to learn too.
Good.
So.
Thank you very much.
Thoughts on,
Any thoughts?
Well, I just feel like big picture vision and with the work and the money that's already been invested in this project, that we owe it to ourselves, to all of us, to find out if we get this funding. And like you say, Corey, May is gonna be here tomorrow. And so, you know, Leah's done a huge amount of work on this project, and I think, you know, she's learning as she goes, and we're in a better position to be able to be a good candidate now, so I think we.
I wouldn't want to give up on the building even if we bought a different building. I think that if she has the time and the energy and whatever, and we still have some borrowing power through the county, that even if we don't have the cash sitting there, we might be able to still work on it. And, you know, if we need to raise cash for whatever, I think it's a good project. I think it's great to keep working on it, but at the same time, I think we need to do something to alleviate your strain over there, especially with Matt sitting in the basement down here. I mean, that makes me feel.
Yeah, there are some demands on what we need with hiring a behavioral health coordinator and us providing support and service for environmental health. It's kind of changed the picture a little bit that way. So yeah, I think it is a conversation we need to have. But I also look at big vision of what we'd like to do here. And if we're gonna bring in those resources and that infrastructure that allows us to grow as a community and provide what we need to provide for our community, we can't just look at the here and now. We've got to look at what's gonna happen down the road.
Sure.
And you were right, I won't be here then, but I will still volunteer for something. So,
what's interesting, I had a conversation with, He works for MHP out there, he's a sergeant or something. He's also a 4-H dad at the fair I was at in Plains. And I said, well, I even envision, using this EPA cleanup grant for their 3-story building over there. They're talking about wanting to get cleanup in it and turn it into a high patrol museum one day. I was like, I should go help them put in for this application as well with all this stuff that I'm learning. Just to really work on all of those buildings out there, just to kind of
They're
try to have a
treasures.
little forward motion with all, because we're all stuck with these things. They're like
I think
hard to
that-
tear down. hard
That
to-
one's probably in the best shape, isn't it? That admin building?
Yeah,
on the
it's actually
north campus?
not too bad of shape.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, here's a template to go forth and do this with almost the exact same history, materials, cleanup. So to work with that too, like, just like Pam said, really big picture there, but it was interesting to talk with that gentleman about that. So,
Sounds good. Well, we'll just keep in touch in between now and.
Yeah.
May and
I mean, I
what
think we'll know
happens-
by May or not, whether.
Then in
just
May, we'll just
ban-
have to have a sit down and say, we're gonna start looking at something
Yeah.
else and. Or maybe we'll be full steam forward, who knows?
I think that's fair. I appreciate you waiting until May.
No, I just get nervous.
Oh, I know.
It's having
I do
money
too.
sitting around in the county is never a good thing.
Yeah.
We don't get looked.
Funding has been stressful this year.
Yep. All the government pullbacks and everything.
Yeah, it's.
I could get a notification any day. It says, hey, you still got it. We want it back.
Mhm.
Or we wanted it back 2 weeks ago. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, that happens
Oh,
too.
by the
Yep.
way,
Yep, absolutely.
And I was gonna ask you if the 90,000 was still available or if they are.
it
taking
is.
that back.
They're telling me that they
'Cause I
don't
currently
want
have
it
them
back,
on.
but like I said, I also had other funding from that source where they said, oh, by the way, 2 weeks ago, you didn't have this funding anymore.
So I'm safe to leave it in the application.
We are, I mean, there's still that ARPA money that was reallocated that, I mean, public health never used any ARPA money. So there's pieces of it around if we can.
Yeah, and I did not include that maintenance or facilities chunk in there. I
Yep.
think I'll just leave it out for now.
Yeah, that has to be spent, so.
Yeah. So we only have to the end of next year for that. I
Right.
mean, so we might be able to wait till May, but then might as well just figure something else out in May with it.
Sounds good.
But I didn't include it in that application for now, just in case.
Greg, did you have any comments? Before you fall asleep back there?
No.
Just listening to the
Just listening.
conversation? No, okay. Yep, you bet.
Do you have anything you wanted to add to this, Sam?
No, I was just here for support.
Oh, and as part of the application too, JLDC will be switching to a sub-recipient is the feedback I got instead of a contractor. Because my position was not federally procured. But then also we met all the requirements. We went through all these giant documents and the person at KSU tab suggested that we just switch to sub-recipient. So they even say in 3 years, let's say I'm gone or something, they could still continue to manage the project if need be as a sub-recipient.
Perfect.
So, yeah, all these little secret details, the government needs. You're reading the giant CFR 200.1 to make sure that you're covered and. But. So, yeah, that I did switch.
Anything else, Mr. Chairman? You only shuddered and.
This concludes this meeting then.
All right.
Thank you.